Okay, so where do I even begin with this video? This video, this is an unscripted ramble kind of in response to some of the responses to my Naruto video. And I think it's important to make this kind of video because there's been this prevailing logic that I have noticed in a somewhat frequent comment that I've been constantly getting about how the Konoha 12 do not represent all of the side characters in Naruto. And I agree with that. I think that is true. Absolutely. The Konoha 12 are not the majority of the side characters in the show. But my video series, first off, is not even about criticizing all of the side characters in Naruto. It is just about that specific group of characters in Naruto and trying to make them better because I just want to do that, right? But second of all, to say that, oh, just because the Konoha 12 does not represent all of the side characters in Naruto, that means that the side characters in general in the show are utilized very well is pretty wrong. And this is the reason why you see what you see on screen. I've compiled a list of 100 characters from Naruto. And the way I got all these names is just from looking up like a list of all of Naruto's characters. There were some characters that I had to exclude from here, like Akamaru, because why the fuck would I ever include Akamaru in a list like this? And there are also some characters that I just didn't recognize, like this frog from the training arc, I think. I don't know who this is, so I just didn't include him. And there were also some Boruto characters on here. So like this is the list of like the top 130 Naruto characters as voted by a community of people, and I had to exclude some because like some were unrecognizable and also just not from Naruto. So that's why there's such a weird that's why there are only like 100 characters on my list. The ones marked in green are the ones that I consider to be good or well utilized, and I was more generous in this section than I should have been because there are some characters on here that I think just I did not like at all, but from a narrative perspective, I could recognize that they did add something over the course of the story that was pretty solid, right? So like you got your typical contenders like Itachi, Kakashi, Minato, Jiraiya, Shikamaru was pretty good. Like he's the only one of the Konoha 12 that was actually pretty good. Obito, Kurama was inside Naruto the whole time. Really great character, right? So it's like you got your typical ones up here. But then you start getting down and you start to notice that the red ones are the ones that are not so great. So you have your typical examples like Rock Lee, wasted character, Neji, pretty wasted character, Shisui, he was there, but he never did anything. And like, to be fair, he is dead, but like he never did anything. Hinata, wasted character, Irika, never relevant ever since episode 1, yada yada yada. And then you keep going down, and there are 60 of these characters that I just think were completely fucking wasted. It should be more, because right here you can see that I labeled this part the other 7 Jinchuriki, which, if I were to be super anal about this, it would be, I would give each of the 7 Jinchuriki their own slot on this list, but I can't even remember their fucking names, so I just chose to categorize them all in one slot. And then I did the same thing for Sound 4, but I think the Sound 4 were actually utilized very well in the arc that they were in, right? And you'll notice that 60 out of 100, that's a 60% ratio. 60% of these characters are not utilized well in the slightest, right? And this is not fair. I completely recognize that this is not fair because a lot of these characters were clearly never meant to be relevant past this one minute role they were probably meant to play, right? So if we, like, for example, Tazuna from the bridge arc in the first part of Naruto, he came back in Shippuden briefly, in order to like repair the village, and so did Inari, I think. But they were not utilized well in Shippuden, right? But that's fine because they were never fucking meant to be utilized well. So of course, including them in this list would be fucking stupid, right? They clearly were only meant to fill this one role in this one arc, and they were clearly only meant to be important in this one arc, which is Land of Waves. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through this list and remove all of the characters like that. Tazuna shouldn't count. Sai's brother shouldn't count. All of the Edo Tensei shouldn't count. Inari. We can get rid of Hamura. He was not important at all. Sasuke's dad was meant to serve like this lore purpose only. Shouldn't be in here. Madora's brother was a lore purpose. Shouldn't count. Mito Uzumaki shouldn't count. Sasuke's mom shouldn't count. I don't think Yahiko should really count because he was just Pain's friend. Okay, so that leaves us with 47 bad characters out of 87. That is still over half of the characters that I consider pretty terrible, right? But that's not even the end of it. Because we went through that, right, and we had to eliminate all of those characters, that also leaves some good examples of characters that I also think should be eliminated for the sake of fairness, because they were only around for one arc, and they were only meant to be pivotal for one arc. So the Sound 4, gone. Kakazu, only one arc, gone. Kimimaru, only one arc, gone. Might Die, only one arc, gone. Fukusaku, this is like that frog who taught Naruto how to use Sage Mode, which I thought he was actually okay. Gone. Because he was only around for one arc. Hidan, gone. One arc. Hiruzen, he only had one arc where he died. Gone. Haku, he only had one arc where he died. Gone. Kakashi's dad is like only relevant for one arc. Sasori is only relevant for one arc. Deidara is an overarching threat. I don't know. Wait, Haku was on here twice. What the fuck? Okay, Haku, gone. Azuma, one arc. Doesn't do anything else. Zabuza, one arc. Oh shit. Shikamaru's dad. He was never relevant outside of like progressing Shikamaru's development. I am a fucking idiot. Okay, so Shikamaru's dad is actually good because he does have a role in the war arc that I think is pretty solid, and I will keep him in green and I will keep him here. So retroactively I am adding him back to the list of good characters, but this does nothing to affect the overall thing that I'm doing in the video. It changes the score by 1, so it's like it's not relevant, but just for the sake of clarity, Shikamaru's dad is a good character and I'm keeping him on the list, but it won't affect the results of this video. Tobirama, also only in the war arc, though to be fair, the war arc is a bit of an exception because the war arc was so fucking long and such a major part of the show to the point where I think like including all of the Hokage would be reasonable. Kushina was only in one part of the show. She shouldn't be there. I think there's a case to make for Minato staying here though, because he was so related to the main story and actually a part of the massive war arc that I think it's justified to keep him on this list. Even like something like fucking... I should not include Nagato because Nagato is basically just Pain, but I'll keep him in for the sake of argument. Whatever. So what does that leave us with? That leaves us with 47 bad characters and 24 good ones. Let's just do the math. 47 divided by 71. 66% of the side characters are terrible in Shippuden. If we go by like the estimation of like characters who aren't dead, did not serve like this one like super specific role, and who just exist in the current state of the story. I guess this still isn't fair because we have very minor characters who may not exactly fit into the kind of role that I described, but who were minor characters nonetheless. Characters like Baki didn't fucking matter. The Hokage's attendance didn't fucking matter, that's for sure. That means Chojuro, Kuretsuchi, Fu and Tsurune. Where's Tsurune? Did I just not include Tsurune? I didn't even include Tsurune. Omoi didn't fucking matter. None of the adult characters from the fucking from Konoha mattered, except for Shizune, really. Take out Inoichi. Samui didn't matter. Yugao is kind of weird because the story was presenting her as if she was going to be important, but that never happened because she had like this grudge against Gaara because he killed her boyfriend or something, and she just like she vowed to get revenge, but that never came up again. So Yugao like isn't relevant, but like it's weird that she wasn't. Karui doesn't matter. Hanabi doesn't matter either because she's like not that relevant to Hinata. And if we're being really generous, we can get rid of Hagoromo as well because he was also only involved in one arc. Once we finally eliminate all of those other characters who like just shouldn't be on this list because they were only relevant for like one fucking arc, or they were only they were clearly only meant to be relevant for like this one specific purpose, we still have 27 fucking characters who are bad compared to the 24 who are good, right? And it should be more, considering the other 7 Jinchuriki should all have their own individual slot. Rock Lee, one of the Konoha 12 members. Neji, one of the Konoha 12 members. Hinata, one of the Konoha 12 members. That brings me to another thing. A lot of people, for some reason, have a problem with referring to these characters as part of the Konoha 12 or Konoha 11 or Konoha 13. I don't know why, because like they keep saying, oh, it's not like an official name, it's just a fictitious group that doesn't exist because the name is not a thing that was actually cited in the manga. And it's like, the name doesn't have to be an official fucking name for the thing that it's referring to be real. Like, starter Pokemon in Pokemon, everybody refers to them as starter Pokemon because that's a good name for that specific category of Pokemon. You don't hear anybody ever complaining about, oh, why do you call these Pokemon starter Pokemon? That's not an official term. The games never fucking call them starter Pokemons. It's like, well, yeah, they don't, but the community has come together and agreed that the starter Pokemon phrase is a good, succinct way of clearly conveying an idea and referencing this specific group of Pokemon that you get in the games. And it's the same for the Konoha 12. I mean, every other community has things like this in their diction. They refer to things that don't have canonical official names with their own names because that is an effective way of communicating what you are talking about. There's not this like sinister plot to go through Naruto and make videos like specifically trying to poison people and make them think, oh yeah, the Konoha 12, that was a real group in the Naruto anime. Like, no one's trying to do that. They're just referring to these characters by a name that clearly sums up the idea behind this specific group of characters. Like, that's the entire point of the name. But I'm getting sidetracked. Rock Lee, Konoha 12. Neji, Konoha 12. Hinata, Konoha 12. Irika wasn't relevant past the first episode. He had a bit in the war arc. He had like one bit with Naruto in the first day of the war arc, but he doesn't do anything else. Yamato, he's squad leader of Team 7 after Kakashi, and he just disappears after a while. Like, he just doesn't do anything. And then, like, he gets kidnapped and gets turned into a fucking plot device for making white Zetsu clones. Fucking trash. Tamari, one of Gaara's attendants, or whatever the fuck they're called. She was in the first part of Naruto. She was heavily emphasized during the Chunin exams. She's very related to Gaara, who's a very pivotal character in the series. So I expected more of her, and she didn't get anything. Sai, replacement for Sasuke, literally on Team 7, and he doesn't do anything past the Tenchi Bridge arc. He has one thing with his brother in the war arc, which is why I didn't eliminate him, because it implies that he was meant to be a somewhat overarching presence throughout the story, especially since he had, like, moments in the 5 Kage Summit as well, where he comments on, like, Naruto's, like, insistence on pursuing Sasuke. Shino, one of the Konoha 12. Konohamaru, literally Naruto's like first fucking friend in the show, like on-screen friend in the show and in the manga, I think. Like it's literally Konohamaru's name is literally the title of the second chapter of Naruto's manga, and he doesn't do anything except beat one path of pain, which is cool, but he doesn't do anything outside of that. That fucking sucks. Kurenai, she has like one thing against Itachi. She is one of the senseis of one of the groups that were heavily emphasized in the Chunin exams. She has one fight with Itachi where she gets bodied and then she gets pregnant and she doesn't do anything for the rest of the series. Great. Rin, same thing with the Hokage Edo Tensei. She was a big part of the longest part of the entire show, and she played mostly a terrible role that negatively impacted my experience of the show. She was just an excuse for bad retcons, shitty fucking asspulls, and she also muddied the water a lot in terms of Obito's motivations as a villain, because I cannot tell you how many people walked away with the impression on a first viewing of the War arc that Obito started and did everything he was doing in the show just because of Rin. That is not the case, and that never was the case. But at the same time, I can't blame people for walking away with that impression, because he talks about Rin all the fucking time. I think the first thing he says to Kakashi when he's unmasked is, "You let Rin die," or something. Or that's like the first response he has to Kakashi for why he's evil. And that's just not good. You should not have a character like that. A character whose existence just makes other characters worse is not a good character and should not be in the story. So Rin fucking sucks. Suigetsu, a member of Team Heavy, one of Sasuke's group, and he fucking sucks. Kiba, one of the Konoha 12. Mei, the only Kage from the 5 Kage Summit who didn't get anything specific to her. She was just like a fucking support fighter in the Kage group, which just sucks, right? Like she fucking sucks, right? Kankuro, same thing with Tamari, heavily emphasized in part 1, related to Gaara, who's a very pivotal character, doesn't get to do anything after Kazekage Rescue Arc. He has a shitty fight against Sasori and Deidara, and that's it. Anko, heavily related to Orochimaru, one of the biggest threats in the Naruto verse, and still one of, I think, the most iconic villain from that show. Maybe that's overstating it, but like he is a very iconic villain from Naruto, and Anko is very related to him, and she doesn't do anything else. Ino, one of the Konoha 12. Actually, we can take out Darui. Darui becomes the next fucking Raikage, right? But but like he is also just one of the Raikage's attendants. He does get, but it's weird because like Darui I think should be in here because he does get stuff in the War arc, which implies that after the point he was introduced, he was supposed to be somewhat relevant. So, you know what, I'm keeping Darui in. Tenten, one of the Konoha 12, though to be fair, I don't think that she needed to be utilized that well. But she still was not a very utilized character regardless. Shizune, fucking Tsunade's personal assistant, and apparently supposed to be important enough to the point where her getting her soul stolen in the Pain arc was supposed to make me feel bad. The other 7 Jinchuriki who should have all gotten their own slot. Sakura, I don't think I need to say anything there. Kaguya, one of the worst villains in anime history. Hinata's dad, very related to Hinata, should have been more relevant to her arc, and he had one shitty fight against his brother in the War arc, which fucking sucked. Jugo, one of Sasuke's troop. Zetsu, one of the the worst planned character and plot twist in all of fucking anime, almost. Karen, I don't think I need to say anything there. One of Sasuke's troop, and she's, I think, like, terrible. So 27 characters completely fucking wasted out of here, let me do the math. This is like unrelated. This is something else. 27 plus 24, 51. So 27 divided by 51. That's still 52.9% of the characters who are fucking terrible, right? That is a majority of the show. Okay, so this is after including Shikamaru's dad. 51% of the characters, 51.9% of the characters, more like, are bad. and that is still a majority of the side characters. So, and it should be lower technically because Nagato is like the same as Pain here. I don't know why he was included twice, like why both names were included here. And also we're including summons for some reason. And I don't even think we should be including antagonists for the most part, because like I don't categorize them as side characters. I categorize them as antagonists. But like they do technically fall under the umbrella of side characters, so we can keep them in. Just because I zeroed in on one specific group within all of the side characters who are terrible, who are terribly utilized, that does not mean the side characters in general in this show are well utilized. They are not. In fact, the majority of them are not. I think that there's an argument to be made that the well-utilized characters, right, are so good to the point that you don't care about the ones that aren't utilized that well, and that's fine. If you feel that way, that is fine. I just personally don't. I can recognize that Naruto is a good story, despite the fact that some of the characters that I really love were not utilized that much, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm still bothered by how underutilized Rock Lee was, or how underutilized Hinata was, or how underutilized Tamari was, or how underutilized fucking like Shino was, right? Like, these are still flaws with the story that should not be swept under the rug just because for some reason people specify these characters above all else as being the ones they were most disappointed in, which is understandable because most of the fucking story takes place in Konoha. Of course they're going to zero in on Naruto's friends from Konoha. Like, of course they're going to be disappointed that Naruto's friends are not utilized that well, especially when the fucking story is about Naruto becoming accepted by the people of Konoha. Like, you don't fucking see how that could potentially be a problem? It's just like, this is just annoying. Like, I don't understand why so many people get so offended by the idea of just saying, hey, this part of Naruto wasn't that great. I understand that it might be a bit of an overplayed criticism, but from my perspective, like, me making this video, I'm not even criticizing the show. I am just talking about what specifically I would have wanted to see more of. Like, I still think Naruto is a great story. Like, the anime is bad because it's paced really fucking terribly. Or it's not bad, but it's like 50-50 on whether on how much I like it a lot of the time. It's very hit or miss. And it's because of the pacing that feeling is prevalent, right? But Naruto itself is still a great story. Like, the manga is still great. But despite that, it still has flaws. It still has flaws that I don't think... It's not healthy to sweep these flaws under the rug. And that's about it.